This is Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY. I am Rich Spicer. Katie Huckle is here, and Katie's going to do the driving today as we welcome to the guest microphone Executive Director of OASIS, Sara Shields. And Katie, there's a big fundraiser coming up in June, right?
It is huge.
Big.
Big, and it's June 21. It's called Celebrate Women. And what it does is it honors ladies, female women leaders in the community, and we recognize them and we celebrate them, and the room is typically full at capacity at the El Dorado Cadillac Grill, 250 women. We also have the Sue Westhauser Excellence in Education Award that will also be handed out, and that is for a teacher that has been recognized by her peers as just demonstrating excellence in education. So with us today, we have Sara Shields, again, Executive Director of OASIS, one incredible woman who does such important work. Welcome, Sara.
Hi, thank you.
Hi there. So what's on deck this year? Who are we celebrating? Can we say? Can we announce it?
We can announce it.
Sure.
So Donna Willis
Yay.
From Horizon Bank.
Yes.
And Renee Fulis, who actually has been an employee of OASIS for about 16 years.
I am covered in goosebumps. I know these two women, and I'm almost getting choked up. The work that they do and have done for so many years. You know, they just have stayed with it in terms of serving women and families in the area. We also want to recognize Nicole Richardson, who received, and I heard this from Jennifer Brown, our superintendent, she runs that process for us in terms of getting teachers nominated for the Excellence in Education Award. Mm-hmm. Nicole Richardson is a superstar teacher at the Innovation High School here in town. So shout out to these three women. We can't wait to hear your story and kind of celebrate you. It's a powerful feeling, as you know, Sara, being in a room with that many women.
Yeah, I love it. It last year was my first Celebrate Women luncheon with OASIS, and I was just kind of taken aback by all the power in that room.
Right. Yeah, it really is something, and our donors are so incredibly generous. It is, I think, our largest fundraiser at OASIS, isn't it? Yeah. And so we have table sponsors, we have corporate sponsors, and I need to get with you on that because Independent Bank's going to sponsor this year.
Awesome.
But also baskets. You know, I think about Barb Tatterchuck and Judy Coffey and, Melissa Schultz and her mother, Cindy. These women have been donating baskets to this event for 25 consecutive years. It's just incredible. And so every year when I reach out, I don't even have to ask. I just have to say, hey, the luncheon, I got it, Katie, you'll get the basket. We raise thousands on these baskets.
Right. I've already been getting some calls at the office from people wanting to know when they can drop off their baskets. I think we're going to have a really good turnout of baskets this year, too.
I do, too. And you know how we can kind of get competitive as women.
Yes.
And so every year, you know, we all want our basket to be the one that everybody wants, you know.
Right.
And it's fun to see the clever ideas and themes that folks come up with. I remember one year, Judy Coffey did a ladybug basket, you know, and it had like a ladybug birdhouse and a ladybug pitcher and ladybug glasses and a ladybug doormat, I think. And then another year, Julie Valise, longtime OASIS board member, her basket was all kids in the summer. So water wings, those tubes that kids hit each other with, the tube, the fun animals, inner tubes that go around your waist and that kind of stuff. So it's always fun to see what the ladies cook up.
Right. And they get really creative because some of the baskets aren't even in baskets.
Right.
There was like a small portable grill last year that had all the grilling stuff in it and, you know, different things besides baskets to put together a nice gift to raffle off.
Absolutely. You know, I giggle because we know women love purses. And I think one year we had TJ Maxx donate a bunch of purses that we just gave away. And it was like, as MC, I felt like I was hosting The Price is Right. People were like screaming and jumping up and down and hopping around and just getting so excited. We have law enforcement help us that
Right.
day. Can you tell us about that?
Right. So the baskets aren't auctioned off. They're actually, when people get there, they can buy raffle tickets from, we have usually like the state police and city police there, and they have their own little competition going on for selling raffle tickets. And then throughout lunch, we're just calling out numbers and raffling off baskets so people can buy how many ever raffle tickets they want, and then they can go around. We have all the baskets on display,
Right.
and they
Yep, it's karmic because I always say whoever donates a basket, the odds of them getting their ticket drawn seems to be better.
Right.
Isn't that funny?
right. And so then they put, pick which baskets they want and put their tickets in, and then they get called off. And I think last year we probably gave away 40, 50 baskets.
Yes, it's typical. Once we get over 50, I've noticed I don't think we necessarily raise more money. It's sort of our saturation point. But when we first started this all these years ago, and it was at the Cadillac Country Club, when the Cadillac Country Club had a clubhouse right on Lake Mitchell. And when we first started doing this, I think we had 10 baskets,
Right.
And the women got so excited about it that all of a sudden more people said, can I donate? Loretta Snyder, who owned the Marina restaurant with her family for years. One year I made the mistake of forgetting to call her. And I got a call from her saying, Katie, we want to be a part of this, and I want my homemade pasta sauces to go in a basket. And I'm going to tell you, that was maybe an all-time hit right there,
Right.
the favorite, because she was such an incredible cook and such a warm woman and servant to Cadillac. So, and I look at the women that have gone before us. Our very first honoree was Grace McKellop, who was the first female Chamber of Commerce, president of the Chamber of Commerce, the first woman. She also opened the sweet shop here in downtown Cadillac that is now owned, of course, by Janine Russell. Anyway, nobody knew about Grace's childhood. And so she got up on the mic to accept her award, and we had nominated her because she was just a founder and, really
Gave a lot to the community.
Yeah, and knocked down barriers, for women. And she got up and told a story about, being abused as a child and how passionate she was about OASIS. And just thinking about it's getting me all choked up because we had to get back on the mic when she sat down, Corey Lindell Denman and I, and we just looked at each other and thought, we really don't need to do one more thing today, because Grace just gave a testimony that paralyzed all of us. We were just so inspired
Right.
by her story. And again, that was a call to action for other women. Like, if Grace McKellop can have gone through what she did and land and succeed and thrive, then we all can.
Right.
Yeah. So your mother came last year, and I got to meet her.
She did.
Tell me about Mom's career, because I think our audience would be interested to know about these powerhouse ladies.
Right. So my mom raised me a single parent. We struggled a little bit when I was younger, but she went back to school.
Okay.
And she's a social worker, but then she ended up going back to school, and she was like a healthcare administrator. She ran a big hospital in Detroit for a long time and recently retired. She does not like being retired, so she's been doing some volunteer work with OASIS, doing
No
some
kidding.
different things.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
Yes, but she came up here for Celebrate Women last year and can't wait to come back this year. So she's
goody.
looking forward to coming again.
Good. I want to
that.
have, when we're all done with the luncheon, I want to have a cup of tea with her, because I could just feel her energy
Yes.
last year. And I thought, you and I had just met, for the
Right.
first time. And I thought, oh boy, she's a powerhouse, and she raised up one too.
She's a really tough lady, and she's little, she's 5'2" or something. And but yeah, she runs a lot of stuff. She's the person that makes stuff get done. So when we were moving some things around over at OASIS, it was nice to have her around to help, because she coordinated a lot of stuff. She moved a lot of things and a lot of people.
Isn't that something? Sometimes it's nice to have another set of eyes on something, especially if they've run large events and not locally. So they're bringing talents and expertise and wisdom
Right.
and experience, and then that's a bonus for you.
Right. And I talked about last year at the luncheon with having my mom there. when I was little, my mom used to make me volunteer with her once a week. We had to go to the YWCA in Flint, which is where I'm from, and we had to go there, and we actually volunteered for their domestic violence program.
Incredible.
And because I was a kid, they wouldn't let me do anything besides collate training manuals for the other volunteers. So we'd have to go there every Wednesday night and do this training book collation for that Saturday's training. And I would always like sneak the worksheets home with me and stuff because I was so interested in it and wanted to learn all the same stuff. And so I started kind of really wanting to be somebody who, because of my mom making me do this volunteering,
Incredible.
who wanted to help women who were survivors of domestic violence. And so my mom's been a big voice, a big supporter of women for a long time. And I was telling everybody, volunteering is a great mother-daughter activity, and you build all kinds of skills that you don't even think about.
Absolutely. How old were you when you started this ballpark?
12?
Wow. Very young to see, something
Right.
that difficult and hard. And it went right to your heart.
It did.
Mm-hmm. And as the saying is, you've come a long way, baby. I mean, now you are running, one of the most important nonprofits in 3 counties. The audience needs to know. I mean, there are shelters that screen, that turn away, that you have to fill out this and that and whatever. And one of the things that I think drew me to OASIS and its mission in the mid-'90s was knowing that, you guys meet with everybody, you talk to everybody, and you help everybody.
Right. Even if they don't qualify for any of the programs that we're offering, we still get them to the right place, to the right people.
Right.
Point them in the right direction.
Somebody that does like what Renee Fulis does, or your shelter advocate, the woman that, checks women in when they come in the middle of the night and they're traumatized and they're scared. It takes women, and if you could speak to this so our listeners can understand, it takes them several episodes in problems to leave. And so when they finally do reach out to the organization, your folks are ready for them.
Right. Right. And so abuse is so much more than physical, than hitting and kicking and punching and those things. I mean, those things leave the most evidence, but there's so much when somebody's leaving, and it's the most dangerous time for them physically when they've decided to leave.
Okay.
But there's financial control. It's all about power and control.
Right.
There's threats and manipulation, and I'm taking the kids away, and cutting off access to the bank account. And there's so many other ways that women are controlled when they're trying to leave. It's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So our thing is we don't want there to be any reason for people to have to go back. So if it's a financial issue, we got it covered. If it's food, if it's childcare, if it's dealing with the friend of the court, we make sure that we are hooking people up with all the right services and all the right people in the community so that those manipulation tactics aren't going to work on them. Mm-hmm. And we just try to be supportive so that they're not being controlled by someone who's abusive.
Wow. You're meeting them where they're at. I remember, and I think it was Mary Brett Schneider that started this program, but pets, where do the animals go? Are the animals safe? I mean, we all know that our pets become part of our family, and you guys help place pets too and keep them safe. So it really is remarkable because each woman has her own story and her unique set of circumstances. And I've always been amazed that you really can get to exactly what that one person needs. And then within the organization, the programs and people,
Right.
It's like you've got a dream team of counselors and helpers.
Yeah. And because we can't always help with every single thing, but we know people who can. And and that's so great about Renee is she's been around for so long and she's so connected in the community and to all the different resources that she always can make miracles happen for clients. I mean, she mostly focuses on housing, which is really hard to do around here right now.
There's a shortage.
Bad. And especially, that's affordable for some of our clients who are just trying to get on their feet.
Right.
And I've seen her do a lot of amazing things and really outside the box thinking to help people get into homes of their own.
Mm-hmm. Renee has sent me clients over the years, and and I take care of them with kid gloves. When they say I was referred to you, Katie, by OASIS, I know it's going to be a special circumstance, and we're going to give it 110 for those folks.
We appreciate that.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the event itself.
Okay.
Can you tell me about your selection process for the women that you honor? I mean, I know the school system it's their peers that nominate another teacher, and then they explain why that teacher embodies Sue Westhauser's approach that all meet children at their level for learning, and all children learn at different levels. Again, you said out of the box thinking. That's how Sue Westhauser did it.
Right.
She treated every child like the treasure that they are, and believed in tailor making education to each child. Can you tell us about the two women that you're honoring, Renee and Donna, how the selection process happens with your board and your committee?
Right. So there is a committee, and it's been pretty much the same group of ladies they let me join this year. So they get together and they talk about some of the people, they nominate people who they've witnessed really empowering other women or really supporting the community, giving back to the community. And so there was a list. And we kind of talked through the names and narrowed it down. And then the board of directors of OASIS voted on it. And Renee and Donna are the honorees this year. And so I'm going to be sitting down with both of them in the next week and really kind of talking to them about their history and their experience and some of the things that they've done in the community, because I'm new to the community too, and I know Renee from working with her, but
Right.
But I want to find out all the things that I don't already know about them.
You're going to go on a deep dive, it sounds like.
Yes.
And both ladies are just, so incredible. I can't wait to hear from them at the actual luncheon. Over the years, I've noticed when we bring the ladies up to accept their awards, some are very emotional. And all are surprised that they got the award, and why them, because they're just doing what they do. And I think that that's been inspiring to the rest of the room, meaning none of these honorees for Celebrate Women did it for the recognition.
Right.
They did it because it's in their heart,
Right.
So, there's all kinds of beautiful awards on ladies' desks all over this town and community, and it's a source of pride to have that on your
I
desk.
think what a cool group to be part of that lineage of women who've been honored at the Celebrate Women. So
Well, and think about it. We've been doing it for 25 plus years. So every year, Sally and I, my co-MC, Sally Goggin, we like to ask the ladies who have been recognized in the past to stand.
yeah.
And it is like a lot.
I got chills.
Did you?
Yes, and everybody stood up last year. I could feel like the hair on my arm stand up. It was such a cool feeling, and to see all that together in the room.
Oh yeah, and they're still supporting the organization. And when I look around that room when those women stand, they are grinning from ear to ear. It's like, yep, I'm a part of this special, incredible, inspirational group of women. Another shout out to the agency. Anytime I call and I ask someone for a donation, they say yes. And that's because the nonprofit OASIS serves so many women and has for so many years.
Yeah.
That your reputation is bulletproof. And so in this town, all you have to do is establish a need, tell the community what you need, and they step up. Are you finding that?
I am.
Yay.
The community has been great to me.
Good.
Like, anytime I've needed something, somebody's come through, it's just, we have what we need there because the community does such a great job supporting us and taking care of us. And, I've asked for certain things before that our clients have needed or whatever. And if whoever I've gone to ask for it couldn't help me, they've made phone calls and found somebody who can help me.
Good.
So, yeah.
They're resourceful for you.
Yes, yes. I love working in this community. It's been great.
Oh, thank goodness, because we need you. I just, for our listeners that don't know about Sara, she has the education to back up the position, and that is just so important, your experience and your education in your role. Can we talk about the day, the time, the location, and then I want to talk about how much money you're trying to raise. So
Okay.
let's tell everybody about that.
Right. So it's going to be June 21st at the Cadillac Grill at noon. We're going to be opening the doors up at 11 o'clock so people have time to come in, look at the baskets, pick out which ones they want, get their raffle tickets. The tickets are $45. Okay. They can be purchased on our Facebook page, our website. People can stop in at the office to pick those up, or you can do them online, or there's signs hanging around with a QR code that you can scan. So if you see a sign and you don't want to horse around with Facebook, you can just scan it and go right to the ticket page, the event page.
You guys are high tech, Sarah.
We're getting there.
Let's talk about what's on the menu. Do we know what's for lunch yet?
We do not.
Okay.
We're still in the decision-making process with that. Mm-hmm. Getting it narrowed down.
You're right. And I giggle because women love to get together and have lunch anyway. But now we're getting together to have lunch, and the ladies kind of get dressed up, and then you throw in $100 plus baskets and really good food. And it's just a special day.
Yeah.
When we wrap up, I always expect everyone to go dashing out the door because maybe they were there on their lunch hour and they need to get back to work. But what I find is women linger and they visit and they want to congratulate the honorees and they want to congratulate the ladies that won baskets. And I know as a basket donor, I always want to just go see if the person that won my basket is excited and that kind of thing. For our listeners, it's also funny, the law enforcement officer. So typically we've got city, county, state, I think, with us. The law enforcement officer that sells the most tickets gets a Katie cake. And so then I get to award that person. So it gets kind of competitive.
I was going to ask if we were getting Katie cakes there for law enforcement this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to fire
them up. Those are a big hit.
And sugar them up. I think we're going to do like the candy bar explosion one that's covered with every single candy bar because, we all know we're not supposed to be eating candy bars. I mean, we all know this.
Right.
so it's kind of fun to put together something that decadent because if you win it, you didn't choose to eat it. You have to eat it because you won it.
Right.
How much money are you trying to raise, Sarah?
We are hoping to raise about $20,000 this year between ticket sales, sponsorships, and basket raffles.
Oh, my goodness. That's a lot of money in one day.
We have a lot of need.
Okay.
We have, groceries are more expensive. Utilities are more expensive. The shelter's been full. Gas, all of that. Things have gotten very expensive. And our grant cycles are about 3 years behind. Have not kept up with inflation. So, so we're hoping that with sponsorships and the ticket sales and the basket raffles, all of that together will get us where we need to be. And I think we can do it.
How can our listeners, let's say they want to step up and support the event financially, what's the best way for them to sponsor or contribute and donate to the event?
So there are 3 different sponsorship levels that we have, and there's some information that is on our website, and they can also get from our office if they're interested in sponsoring, or by donating a basket. And that's a real fun kind of way to participate and support us too.
Right, and I should tell our listeners that I bake a couple of Katie cakes, and I put them in kind of an ornate cellophane and ribbons, and that is my quote unquote basket is one of those decadent cakes. I mean, so we can think outside of the box. Like you said, we've had musical instruments as a basket. We've had flower planters as a basket. Wild Ravens typically donates one. And so, if there's something special you do, quilters,
right,
knitters.
Yeah, that's a good idea too.
All those folks that have artists, we want, if there's a niche that you have or you have a gift in a certain medium and you're interested in donating it, OASIS will take it because I found that the ladies love something homemade. My friend Helen Lehman, who was Harvey Pell's granddaughter, is one of these women that she pickles and she cans and she has jams and jellies and apple butters and, and so I asked her one year for a basket full of all that stuff, and it was one of them. And she said, "Oh, nobody would want all that. That's just homegrown stuff." And I said, I don't know how to pickle and can.
Yeah, me neither. I was going to say, I always wanted to do stuff like that.
Right.
And I just have to eat other people's because I don't have time to learn.
Exactly. And maybe I'm too lazy to learn. I'm like Helen. That is a big treat for many of us.
It is.
You know, it's healthier and homemade and all that. So let's all be thinking about what we can do to support Sara and to support OASIS. When you say that the grant cycle's 3 years behind in terms of catching up with inflation and the need, if money were no object, what's your biggest need? What's something that you'd want to do immediately if you had the money to do it?
More transitional housing.
Okay.
So, you know, we bring people to our emergency shelter when they need that.
Right.
But when the emergency part of it is over, sometimes there's no place for them to go.
Right.
So people are staying in a shelter, which isn't really an ideal space for a whole family. I mean, it's safe. There's food there, there's support there, but it's not really where people want to be raising their kids for long term, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So,
it's some kind of communal living.
Right.
Really. Yes.
Right. So we try to get people transitioned as quickly as possible into their own place once the crisis part of it is over.
Sure.
But there's no place for them to go. And there's not, you know, it'd be great to have an apartment building or something where people could go and have their own space and
their own kitchen, privacy.
Right. And we could be there to support them, but let them have their own space. And so we do have a transitional housing program. It only has 16 spots.
I see.
We could use 40 or 50 spots.
Oh my goodness sakes. It's not a little bit of a need, is it?
It's a big need.
And you know, the woman has finally found the strength, you know, to leave. You get her, like you said, through the crisis portion of it, and then it's time to get on with life, with job and managing money and, you know, healthy families and all of the learning that comes along with that, and then to not have a place for them to live. And we know that rent in Wexford County is higher than it's ever been
if you can
historically.
find a place available.
Right.
And so that's part of the problem. In some part, I mean, it's really everywhere in the state this is an issue, but in some parts of the state, when I've talked to other directors, they're able to get people through the shelter program and into a transitional housing or independent permanent housing within 90 days.
Wow. Okay.
It's this area, it's taking 6 to 9 months.
And so you end up having to put women in hotels, and
yes,
and
that's
very
not
expensive.
Ideal. No, it's expensive, and it's also again not where people want to be trying to give their kids stability. When that's all the child needs is that stable, back to normal kind of life, and they're having to move around and stay in shelters and hotels and stuff. That's not helpful to the family. So we try to avoid that. But when we're out of options, I mean, we're not putting people on the street. We're trying to keep them safe and sheltered as much as we're able to, for as long as we're able to. But
it's a challenge.
It is.
Wow. The monies that are raised at Celebrate Women, what does that $20,000? Because I know it's going to be 20 or more. What does that get applied to?
It goes back into our programming, our advocacy program, counseling, and most of it ends up supporting the shelter. Okay. So we do have free counseling now. Well, we had it before, and then it went away kind of during the pandemic. We have therapists now there on the weekends at the shelter, and then during the week at the administration building. And then the advocacy programs. So everybody gets an advocate when they come into OASIS, and that person's sort of like a case manager and assesses their needs and gets them hooked up with all the services that they need and advocates on their behalf. You know, whether it's getting an IEP for their child or getting cash assistance or whatever they need. So those programs, we use the money that we raise from the event to support that. And then shelter, we're always, you know, needing food, and, you know, kids are there having birthdays. They can't really have a party, but, you know, a cake and a gift or two would be nice.
Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely.
Maybe a special dinner. You know, and when there's a lot of kids at the shelter, we go through a lot of milk and eggs and fruit and things like that. So those are things that we don't usually get from our food drive. So
fresh vegetables, perishables, and things like that. For someone in our audience that's having a hard time and maybe is in an abusive situation, what would you tell that woman?
I would tell them that there is support, that there's, OASIS definitely can help them. But even if they're not ready to leave or they're not ready, the circumstances just aren't right, that they should reach out and talk to someone so that they can start making a plan.
Okay.
And to be strong. And that we are here always to help you with that strength when you don't feel like you have it on your own.
Sara Shields, everybody. She is the executive director of OASIS Family Resource Center here in Cadillac. The work that you do touches so many women and so many children. And so thank you.
Thanks for having me.
107.9 CDY, Cadillac Unscripted, and it's sponsored by Independent Bank. Thank you.